overnight, 20 billion in perps vaporized in crypto. Winners get ADL'd, wrapped assets snapped on Binance, while Hyperliquid stayed up but clipped shorts. Bybit OKX saw cascades, Ethereum gas spiked into hundreds, and Lighter went down exactly when traders needed the exits. We will show you what actually failed and how we can turn that chaos into an early drawdown in the next Black Swan event. So Pars, can you walk us on what actually happened, what broke, and where?
Yeah, Daria, so not the best of the weekends that we have ever had in crypto. One of the saddest weekends. And this is like three failures converged here. First was perp risk engines. So to stay solvent, venues leaned on ADL, like Hyperliquid kept the uptime, but the ADL, they kind of ADL the profitable shorts, and which basically had turned the delta neutral strategies and the users to delta naked on the way down. So this was one big challenge. And then the second was the oracles and the pegs on the single venue. So what happened on Binance, the USDe, wBETH, and BNSOL, they dislocated locally, while Curve and other venues priced it closer to the fair value. So there was a bad local prints that triggered, real liquidations, and for which Binance is, we all know they are giving away the refunds of 250 or 300 million dollars. So that's one. That's the other thing that happened. And last is throughput and the fees. So gas fees, very beloved chain, Ethereum mempools jammed. Some L2s, they also jammed. The gas to hedge and add margin spiked into hundreds of dollars. Like, just to give you numbers, there were Ethereum gas fee has been said to have been seen around $200 to $400. So this is crazy, and that's all. These three things combined happened. I think this summarizes what happened on that day.
So then this means that wasn't just like high volatility that everybody says crypto is suffering from. It's actually the crypto infrastructure, the way it is designed itself, has made it worse than it could have been.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Daria, this was a stress test. And this has been the first time ADL had struck in 2 years at Hyperliquid. So this is the first time that events the crypto industry has seen this kind of a cascading effect, and there were multiple loops that were in action here. So just to cover few of them, one first was a leverage loop. So basically, stop hits, and then the books become thinner, and then there are forced sells, and they print lower, and then which leads to further more stops. Then there is a counterparty loop. Order books can't absorb everything. Then the venue is flipping to the ADL, the winners get clipped, and the hedges are failing, which leads to more kind of a forced flow. And then there is the third, which is the microstructure loop. Basically single venue oracles like Binance and API, they wobble, turn into bad ticks, and that turn into real margin calls across venues. So it was a kind of, I would say this is like, this was a waterfall event actually. And if we have seen so many projects and collateral, cross collateral, and everything connected together, that even a single a cascading effect at one venue had led to multiple cascading effects at the other venue. And the only challenge and the sad part about this, that we will cover in the later sections of this podcast, is that the users, they just did not know. They were not aware, they were not expecting this, they were not ready for this, and they all they could see is that their accounts get liquidated.
But can you expand a little more on that? So you said that like users didn't know and they didn't expect and they couldn't have done anything. Is that like actually true? Did the scam exactly out of nowhere with no signals, or there has been data warning for those like who had their eyes open?
Yeah, Daria, that is something, that's a good question. So there were signals. That is what we at EternaX are saying, and we have been saying to people that there were signals. The only thing is that those signals may be too fast for, say, the humans to process. right? But there were signals. Had they been using EternaX agents, had they been using EternaX ad as their venue, they would not have faced these things. So just to give you information, that where they saw these things was open ledger flow, that basically the whale short that was built on Hyperliquid across the macro window. It was transparent, it was fast. AI could read that. Leverage extremes, frothy funding and open interest concentration in the alts was there, the classic crash fuel. And prediction market, there were short horizon odds before, much before, 15 minutes, 5 minutes before the main wick occurred. And the mempool heat, the gas was rising around the event. These are all the signals which an AI agent added on a X could have read and accordingly balanced your position. So those are the things that we want to highlight to individuals and the users, is that this is not I would say failure, but it is a failure for humans to kind of de-risk themselves in an intelligent way. That is the failure.
So the takeaway is that humans are unable to monitor all the signals at the same time all day, every day, because you have to see the mempool, you have to see the shorts on all the various platforms, you have to read the ledgers, 5 oracles from Binance and all the other sources. So the odds will of anyone noticing it was actually pretty slim. But agents can do that. Agents can have been attuned to all these various data sources, and they could have either warned humans, which would have not even been enough because it happened also fast. But if an agent was actually taking care of the funds, he would have removed the position before it started all going down. Cool. Can we dive a little deeper on how did infrastructure and projects let their users down when they were counting on them? So, for example, Lighter that has been offline for hours at the most critical day of the market.
Yeah, absolutely. Lighter was the new shiny toy in the space, and it was very early for it to kind of crash. But the idea is that it's infrastructure, Daria, and this is what we have been focusing on, and we have been telling that infrastructure needs to be there, and that is what had Hyperliquid did. The Hyperliquid actually had 100% uptime throughout all these things. And people who were building and piggybacking on different L2s, they have seen a lot of challenges, gas fee spikes. They don't control the gas fee, they don't know what to do about the sequencer is breaking, the chain is breaking. So they were the Lighter, for that matter, which is an L2 zk rollup layer 2 on Ethereum. They broke for 4.5 hours at the time when they were meant to be alive. So what I want to highlight to the users is that, with the whatever happened at Lighter, there were problems. Latency was there. There was backend database issues. Users saw delays, PNL swings. There is a trust damage. They later outlined that there are no fees and point compensation, but the lesson is that this is a trust-based game. You lose the trust once, nobody uh, will ever come to you. So it is very rightly said in the TradFi world, Daria, the one term, and I want all the users to take this away, is you can shear this sheep multiple times, but you can only skin it once. So, and this time you skin the users, they'll not come back to you. So you need to kind of manage their you can give them less of profits, but you can't just liquidate them, right, left, right, and center. So that's the trust damage that has happened to most of the protocols.
I see. Well, with Lighter being down, Hyperliquid being up, I think it's pretty clear which one is a lot more robust. But also the incumbents, the big guys, the Ethereum it did stay up, but it has a really big congestion over there. We've seen screenshots of gas costing $200 to $400 per transaction. Why does that matter so much?
It's crazy, Daria, like, because the user survival becomes the fee auction, and this is just the crazy space you are in. It does not have to be like this. If the hedging cost is $300, then you need three transactions. You are priced out essentially. So the risk management shouldn't lose the mempool. So essentially, what we are trying to do to say here is that the times of collecting gas fee and is I think it's gone in the high paced environment in which we are in which we are living today, and which is going to be the future, where the latency for AI is less than 50 milliseconds. I don't think so gas fee makes any sense. And these kind of roadblocks have to be removed, and that is where the EternaX we have completely made the gas fee zero. You can hedge multiple times. You can do whatever to save your hedge, to save your bets, and there is zero charge essentially. So you can do that. There was fee spikes on Solana as well, and again, there's a lot of hindrance on these chains. So we would not promote the venues which have so high gas cost, because they essentially take away your survival spirit. They just break you, and then you are done. You're liquidated, all your assets gone, and you are worth nothing suddenly.
Right, I agree. There is, like, with the amount of compute available in the world, there is no reason to limit people's actions to like a memory of a machine. Because, like, even then, people who had reaction time fast enough to actually react and try to do something, they're like just killed by, oh, we cannot process this many transactions. And like that is ridiculous. That's not the way it should be. This should not be the case. And that's why scalability matters so much. And that is why gas fees are outdated. So with all these lessons, how did we design EternaX to not have these outcomes?
Yeah, this is that's a great question, Daria. So essentially, Eterna X has been designed for all these situations to be taken care of, and the base core of it is, first, is the agentic core, that agents take all the decisions, and they can do things which human cannot do. And the second is the infrastructure capabilities, like sub-second finality, faster chain, trustless, basically TEE, mempool, and all those things. It has been built for all these challenges. So I'll gradually go. There are five switches that we have kind of made at EternaX that rightly fit into this situation. So first is the agent flip to a safe mode in one block. That is what is was critical for the users. As soon as the agents saw some anomaly in the funding, open interest, cross venue variance, open ledger anomalies, venue health, 1 minute prediction markets, they could have, basically done an auto clamp max leverage, raise the maintenance, and haircut the fragile collateral. That is before the wick. And they could have done that because they are capable of doing that. And why they could have done that on our chain? Because our infrastructure is made matching the capabilities of the agents. That is what we are building at EternaX. The second is the micro auctions, which is, again, we can remove the ADL. It did not have to be ADL. It could have been done in micro auctions, which are 40 to 80 milliseconds. Again, we can do that because our infrastructure permits it. Other chains cannot just provide that. There is hedge integrity by the design. So essentially what happens is that people had, there's delta neutral hedging groups, and if one leg is threatened or the venue degrades, we inject an atomic and hidden counter order to the next auction. So temporary basis sits in the insurance, and that gets repaired, so your short doesn't vanish while your long keeps failing. Essentially, this is an intelligent action to safeguard. If you are saying you are delta neutral at one platform, and you are using multiple platforms, hedging basically per farming, what happens that you could have lost everything. But with us, we kind of balance you out, and see that if there is something that we can do to safeguard you, and that is what we do in the hedge integrity by the design. And the fourth is the most critical, again, zero gas for anything which is done on EternaX. There is zero gas cost. So if there is even a $1 that you can save, you should be able to save that. If the gas is $300, then I think you are already dead. Don't even bother. The fifth is the infrastructure. That is where the strongest moat is. That is sub-second finality and hidden liquidity that helps. So the finality is 120 milliseconds, and the iceberg conditional dark keep the depth posted without painting the target. So if there is any infra wobble, we auto enter the slow mode, and instead of silently stalling, there is an anti-lighter move. So this is like you can call it anti-lighter. Why I'm saying anti-lighter is essentially lighter failed at the infrastructure level. So we will not we are not built for we are built for 100% uptime. In situations like this especially, you need 100% uptime, and I think that is what we can deliver. Yeah, these are the five elements, Daria, where we can say that we have covered people for safety.
Okay, then like this sounds like a lot of technicals, and it is, and each of these technicals have been sought out for like a specific purpose to improve things that are problems in the crypto space today. But let's try to build out like a scenario of what would have happened if we had been already online by the time in the event like this, and what will happen the next time an event like this happens. So like step by step from the early signals to the overall around the world cascading effect, how would have we played and what how do we plan to play out?
Got it. So imagine if this had happened on EternaX and you were the user, what would have happened is your agent would have seen the odds and the variance, and what they would have triggered is they have increased the maintenance, and the collateral haircut would have triggered immediately. So basically, if you are 10x, would have been reduced, and you are long, it means that there is a high volatility. They could have reduced your leverage from 10x to 1x immediately. Then what would have during the wick, what would have happened is the liquidation clear is in sealed auctions, the hedge tags auto neutralize, and the residual goes to the insurance, and it does not hit your PNL. There is no surprise ADL for anybody. And then what is after that is the open interests are lower. We understand that they will be lower, but this is by policy, and this is not by zeroing the accounts. Like remove all the users, then there are no open interest. But that's not the case with us. And then we publish a telemetry, which is again the immutability and the transparency of the chain that we bring in. All these things are auditable. They are all published to the people to see that how much we were able to save and things like that. So that's the aim, and that's how the flow would have happened. People would have been saved. We can say that the losses would be a spot loss for them, and not a leverage bet loss.
Well, so this has obviously been a lot to analyze and a lot to learn from, and in hopes that nothing like this would happen the next time this will happen. So the rapid rapid recap: Hyperliquid kept its uptime but clipped the winners with ADL. Binance witnessed local depegs on USDe, BNSOL, and other pairs and had to issue millions of dollars in refunds because the core issue was self-referential circular pricing. Bybit and OKX have witnessed massive liquidations, but less ADL complaints from people. Curve has actually helped deeper USD liquidity by pegging sanity off Binance pricing. Solana has absorbed huge traffic pretty successfully, but still their TPS has not been the one that they have actually claimed, but the network at least stayed usable with higher gas costs, but not as high as Ethereum. And then Lighter had witnessed massive issues with latency and LLP and backend faults. Well, they have compensated their people, or at least promised so, but the trust has been dented. I know if those people are going to come back. So this all wasn't just a price event. It's a market structure failure. All of it, ADL shocks, single venue oracles, fee walls, degraded APIs, LP walls hitting the blast. The fix is better design. The fix is better infrastructure, not just luck. It shouldn't depend on whether you got lucky to get your transactions through. Everybody should be able to get their transactions through. So at EternaX, we hard code the guardrails. Agents, they do risk clamps. Agents do micro auctions over ADL. Agents are redeem aware, and They hedge integrity. There is zero gas for user transactions. There is very fast finality of 120 milliseconds. There is insurance first waterfalls that are auditable. This wipeout could have been a lot less than 19 billion. It could have been bounded, orderly drawdown that you can actually trade through, not just drown in a mess of panic. So subscribe, share this one with the friend who trades perps. Do sign up on EternaX platform that is open in the testnet, linked in the description, and see you in the next episodes of the Control Loop. Thank you, Boris, for explaining us what actually happened.
Thank you, Daria.